Alright guys, so this is pretty far into, I'm on day 80 as you can see, so I'm relatively far. Some people may be farther by me by this day in progress, some people might not be, but I just wanted to kind of give a rundown of this, of kind of how I have my setup here. So this is the first floor. As you can see, I have a second floor and a third floor, and I've got a basement and a second story basement. So how I've kind of organized this is the top floor is where all my scholars and their perks go, like the carpets, the plants, the scrolls, the chalkboards. All my guys are up here. The reason to have it this way is because these guys do not need to move at all. These guys can have the lowest. I'm saying this as a sense that you have and somewhat understanding of the game at this point. But scholars have zero use for their movement. They don't move. They hardly move at all. They only need to move to like various locations like these which are on the same floor, so they don't need to move that frequently. In my opinion, they like that's my lowest for all of them unless I hire them with a high stat. So that's why I have those guys up there. The basement I have down here because it's the furthest away from the merchants and the warehouse. And this is because I want to save as much room by the merchants in the warehouse as I can to get a good flow of the work going. And I'll explain that in a moment as well. I just want to get these few things out of the way and then go into kind of nitty gritty. And then as you can see in my bottom right hand corner here of my grid, it's almost like a four pieces, and 3/4 of it is my production and 1/4 of it is my shop. And I have that across 3 levels. So here's my first story, here's my second story shop, or my basement shop, and then I guess you can say this is my second floor shop. So there's 3 floors total, and I'm working on just having 1 rack for each item type. So real quick, what that means is when you go to the shop, into the store, these weapons and tools, these utensil and pottery racks, see how they have +3 on them? I've unlocked these through my mastery trees. I'm just far into the game, I guess, and I was able to unlock these. So I only put these out when I have a new item or weapon that I have a blueprint for to show off. And one of the ways that you know if you don't have it is if it has this star on it. It says this item is not displayed on any rack, so now I can put it on this rack. And I try to keep it around where my other weapons are and stuff, but it is getting a little crowded as I'm just getting so many more items. So yeah, and you always want to make sure that you have enough shopkeepers. Like I've got one on each floor, just so that my customers aren't waiting around too long since I'm getting so many now. And so once we get more blueprints, we'll expand down here, and then eventually we will go to the basement with it as well, just because it'll be easier. And then I think I can unlock a third and fourth floor, so we'll use that for our shop as well if we need it, for our production and all that good stuff. All right, so now this is where my production comes in. So right now I pretty much just have it to where my my assistants are able to just immediately come up the stairs from here and start collecting stuff from the warehouse and putting it into the ingots, and then I have or right into the storage crates for the ore. Okay, so I have those. I have my first floor, or my second floor is all silver, my first floor is iron, and my third floor is copper. They're not completely identical, but they are very, very similar. And I could condense these some more, but I just need to, you can only have a certain amount on each rack, and I just need to start making items, more bronze items. Which one thing that I will say is I am not finding a very diverse group of blueprints that I can get, in the sense that only a few of them are specifically bronze. And I can't unlock them either. I only have a few items that require only bronze, and I feel like if I had more items that required more of or only bronze, I wouldn't have this much bronze ingot, or this much copper ingot, whatever these are. Copper ingots, yeah. So that's kind of the one thing that I wish that they had more of in here. It just kind of feels like it slows down my progress, and I'll kind of show you what I mean once I actually go through what a day looks like. And then I've got my level 3 smelters here, as long as I can. I've got my level, I'll just show you what I got here. Boom. I got my small tier level 3, my medium tier level 3, and then I need to get my large tier level 3. Now, one thing that is cool about these is when you do upgrade them, they don't take up more space. Just the tiers do. The tiers take up more space, but or the I'm sorry, the smelter size takes up more space. The smelter size takes up more space, but the upgraded smelter version does not take up more space, which I do like. I think that's awesome. It doesn't just keep growing. And then these smelters, or then these furnaces, I think they're called. Yeah, these furnaces are able to accommodate 4 blacksmiths. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you have these blacksmiths is they're gonna need anvils and buckets for their items. So if you're wondering, that might be a bottleneck. That was a bottleneck I had a little bit, was I had so much space but not enough anvils and waters. Another big bottleneck for me as we go down the line here. So as you can see, it's pretty seamless. The assistants take the ore and then smelt the ore take the ore from the warehouse to the ore crates, and then they take the ore from the crates and then they smelt them into each of the different ingot sizes: small, medium, and then large. How I have it set up is, this is my small ingot area, I guess you could say. This is my medium, and then my large section is over here on this side. And you want to make sure that you obviously have the laborers that are the assistants that are assigned to these, so you're not just having, no one make mediums and just make larges, and just have a bunch of smalls and no larges. You're wondering why you don't have any large, and it's self-explanatory once you're this far into the game, but that's just a bit of a rundown. Another bottleneck I kind of had was not making enough of these right here. These are called workbenches. These are used to assemble individual pieces into finished items. So what this is kind of, if your piece requires wood and metal, this will be used to combine those two. And so there's a lot of pieces you'll see that combine metal and wood, and this was another big bottleneck for me, was not having enough workbenches. So once the assistants are done smelting, the blacksmiths grab the ingots, start using the furnaces to break them down and then use these anvils to shape them and then cool them off in the coolers, and then put them in the storage. And I have the storage crates here lined up just so that they can pretty much just drag and drop them. The blacksmiths can just drop the items right when they're done making them. And then these, I have them close to the front door so that the assistants who are responsible for restocking the store and the merchants are right here. They're very close. You don't have to go very far. And it's this way across all the levels like that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Silver, from top to bottom. From the second floor, silver. First floor, what are these? Iron, and then copper. And then back here we just have the wood items. I've noticed that there are not a lot of wood items in the game in general, so you don't need too much of these things. Like, I barely go through the wood. I have like one person, I think, going from getting the wood, like this wood. I've only just now started to use more wood, but as you can kind of see, I'm kind of running out of new blueprints to learn that even require wood in general. So yeah, that's kind of like the run-in of my shop and what I plan on doing in the future, such as growing this down to the basement. And then when I get, as you can see, I can unlock a 3rd floor, and then you can unlock a 4th floor. So I'd probably take this floor and like make it another ore floor maybe, or yeah, probably another floor for like how the other ones looked, and then I'd probably just copy paste this all to the next floor. I would get that, but right now I'm saving up for. Oh, actually, I don't really need that horribly, but this is something good. But one thing that you can do is you can select a bunch of what's it called? Like just a bunch of objects, and you can move them all around. So you can drag them up the floors, down the floors. If you want to relocate, so it's it allows it to make it so once you have a floor set like this, you can just, and you add another floor, like once I add that floor, I just highlight all this stuff, go up to the next floor, and then boom, set it down and it's done. So then I can just focus on adding what I need to in the lower floors. I'll quickly kind of go through kind of my workers here. I just try to keep enough to keep my store stocked every day. So when I go through here, I kind of take a look and see, okay, we could use a little more stocking. Like there's nothing in here. These are getting a little low. It's not too bad though. And then you can check these stats here. This is pretty much the main way to see. So your shop, the angry customers are when they're not getting checked out enough and they're spending too much time in the store. This is an indicator that you need more cashiers. It's a good thing to have angry customers because it's a simple fix. It means like more people are coming, more people are buying. And then down here, I kind of have considered they were close to similar items. I don't know if there's like a good or bad number for this. I try to keep all my items in the same area as you've seen. And then this is how many items we crafted. So overview is I get 116,000 in merchant sales. So the only time and my shop is still not very stocked. So this is also an indication that I need to get more workers and more adding more workers to produce more items, and then more laborers to put the items into the merchants and or shops to keep a better balance. That's kind of what those two things are indicative of. This is obviously how many you're crafting for merchants or for your shop. Some of these can be for, like I know a wide cooking pan is for trade routes. Trade routes you unlock later in the game, but you need to have the blueprints as well. So, yeah, you need to have the blueprints. One thing to keep in mind about this is it's kind of like a circle that this goes in. So you need, the first thing you unlock is the clay pit, right? Which is all it takes is a cooking pan. You can just get the recipe for that. That's simple. The birch woods, you need these items that you get the recipe. You can just get the recipe for, but then you need to craft an item that you use with the clay. One thing this also doesn't mention in this screen right here is this little bottle right here. That's a symbol for one clay and then one of those bottles. That's a color dye, and this is a black and four. The thing about the color dye that that is one thing I find a little annoying. But trust me, I love this game. So this is, when I say it's a little annoying, I'm just like, it doesn't really fit the flow. This takes 1,000 gold. This takes 1,000 one of these legendary qualities productions to make, and then you can spend another 1,500 to unlock the pottery plant. So you can't just unlock the clay. You also have to unlock the ability to craft pottery, and then have the ability to make the pottery paint before you can even get this currency, the birchwood currency. Okay, and then you use that birchwood currency to create these hunter bows, which you use to get the gold ore. And I don't think you need gold ore in here at all. Yeah, you don't need gold ore in the gem mine, but you need, but if you do have the gem mine, you can use these gems to create jewel crafting, which is something I also haven't unlocked quite yet. As you can see here, it takes 2,500 of the yellow ones, of the legendary crafting quality points. So yeah, that's kind of those couple things there. As far as some of those tips go. I don't think, I'm still learning about pottery. The only thing I found about pottery is this is pretty much just the standard setup. Is you get someone, once you unlock clay, you can get it from the warehouse. You assign an assistant to get it from the warehouse and put it into these bins, and then a blacksmith will start to learn to make pottery. So if you go to the blacksmith here, when my very first blacksmith was like Evan or something, right? This symbol was not on the character staff info or character sheet until I unlocked pottery. And some people even have it as perks that they're actually better with clay or slower with clay. So that becomes another perk that you unlock, that your blacksmiths will unlock once you unlock pottery. Um, I believe that's about it as far as this goes. This was a slightly more advanced rundown of the whole of my setup and why I've done what I've done and leveling up people. So when I level my miners, I don't really have a preference. I try to avoid leveling up where they have the negative impact, just because there's not, it's gonna be 20% slower, you know. So it's, I would just rather focus on their strengths. When it comes to assistance, I just do all skills equally, every single one, all skills equally. They only have two, and you there's not really a point in not having to and not doing that. They only max those out. So this is the same thing. I have him, you know, heats ingots faster, so I want him to be better at blacksmithing. But he also has he doesn't also have any hindrances to his movement, so we can also kind of keep those things going as well. Eventually, I want this guy to be better at metalworking and walking speed, so I'm going to level these guys up again, and then I'll switch manually, and then I'll switch this to highest skills first, with blacksmithing being the highest, because you get so many workers. You know, like I have, as you can see here, almost 100 just blacksmiths, and having to go in here every single day and like look for who it is and level them up, it's going to drive you absolutely nuts. So here I'm going to do highest skill first, even though I had more time to process carpentry. It's not like the biggest deal. That's very min-maxing, you know. This game is quite a bit about min-maxing, not gonna lie. But like I said, I hired this guy at this because he had the lowered walk speed, but he had a bunch of walk speed already. So now we got to work on getting these up, and then we'll switch the highest skill first. But this is exactly kind of why I'm saying this is not why you want to be doing. You don't want to be manually leveling up these skills all the time. You know, so like here I'll do highest skill first. You know, actually I'm gonna do this one again manual because I want to get this 2 more points, and then I'll do it the other way. But yeah, this is why you don't want to do that. Some blacksmiths require gold ingots with no assistance. There's no smelter to craft it. Yeah. And that's fine. That's not a big deal for right now, because I'm not crafting anything with gold, and I don't really have anything on my racks for gold. I also wonder why it's telling me that. Like, I don't have any gold to. Some blacksmiths require gold ingots. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do over there, trying to swindle me some money. But yeah, that's my whole rundown of this here. Like I said, leave down in the comments below if you did like what you saw here. Let me know what I can do to make my base better. If you got any good ideas, what helped you, what didn't help you, kind of things that you liked in the game and not. So yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time to check it out, and you have a good day. Peace.